Good day, grade 12. My name is Martin Chabalala. I'm the provincial coordinator for mathematical literacy. I think you know the subject. Most of you are doing mathematical literacy. This is a subject that was introduced in 2008, and now it is on its 4th year. I know that you are excited, but others are a little bit worried about what is this subject, what it's all about. I'm here today just to give you the background of mathematical literacy and what are the things that you must expect. Yes, I can see that really you are looking forward to hear what is all about this subject, because we are hearing a lot of stories. Let me start now by just giving you the definition of the subject. What is mathematical literacy? Mathematical literacy is a subject driven by life-related applications of mathematics. We all know that we have mathematics as a subject also. But what do we do in mathematical literacy? We take what we have learned out of mathematics and apply it in a real-life situation. That's what I'm talking about as I'm explaining what is mathematical literacy. And we know that if you are doing mathematical literacy, you must be a certain kind of person. Where are you going to use this mathematical literacy? What kind of a person are we trying to produce with mathematical literacy? If you have done mathematical literacy, you'll be a lifelong learner. You'll be knowing that there are lots of things that you didn't know, but now you know mathematically. And also, you'll be able to manage yourself. What do we mean by being a self-manager? You can be able to budget. You can be able to analyze maps. You can be able to work with money. There are lots of things that you can really learn out of mathematical literacy. Then you'll be saying you are a good self-manager. Participating citizen. It means that now, sometimes you'll be working. You'll be going to different industries. You'll be knowing exactly how will the economy of the country contribute to the well-being of all of us. You'll be able to participate in different mathematical aspects. And as we continue, to the point, to be mathematical literate, what does it mean? You'll be having the capacity to use mathematics and other techniques and consideration to make sense of authentic, real-world problems. We know that so many people, they become a little bit puzzled when they come across numbers and they cannot explain. A person cannot analyze his own payslip. He cannot analyze the bank statement. People are fighting with the municipality. Why am I paying so much for the water? Because this person cannot calculate that it costs so much for 1 kiloliter, and so that I have to pay this amount. So it is important that you apply what you have learned in a real world situation. It means that now, if you are doing mathematics, you are here. You are doing mathematical literacy, you are here. It means that now you are working with numbers. But what does this means in a real life situation? It means that now, when you are in the class, you must bring the outside world inside the classroom. You'll be talking about probability. You didn't see yesterday that you were watching TV and weather forecast. It shows you that tomorrow there are 30% chances of rain. It means that now you are inside the classroom, but you know what is happening through mathematical literacy in a real life situation. So mathematical literacy brings the real world to the mathematics classroom. You can be able also to make decisions. For an example, you want to buy a phone. You can choose and say, look at this one, it's 50 rand per month. This one is 99 rand. You must make choice, but it depends what you want. But if you are mathematical literate, you will be very cost effective and check which one will save me more money. But you cannot do that if you don't have the skill of mathematics. It means that now you must start to calculate, as I'm paying 50 rand here, what is going to be my airtime, how many SMSs I'm going to get here. Here I'm paying 99 rand, I'm getting 100 off-peak minutes. So you make, at the end of the day, you see that this is the best option for me. It means that now you are mathematical literate. Let's continue. So we say which is the best buy, which one can you buy? Let's continue, boys and girls. Now, you can also check, I know that you like cars. One day you'll be driving a beautiful car like C-class, which is this one. But other people are making wrong choices. They just hurry to buy cars because they cannot analyze. They don't know that we've got things that we call terms and conditions. You buy the car, you pay so much today, you can afford to pay, but at the end of 60th month, you have to pay a balloon payment. They said, you didn't know about these things originally because you did not understand terms and conditions. This is exactly what we are learning in mathematical literacy. You understand now how to, pay things like balloon payment, the deposit, what will be the interest rate, how many months will I use to pay this car of mine. These are the things that you must learn with mathematical literacy. Can you see the subject is very interesting? Really, you must just be courageous as you do this subject because it will help you in a real life situation. Now, if we come to the classroom situation, grade 12, so you know very well that mathematical literacy is going to be written also as one of the subjects that is examinable. And look, in mathematical literacy, we are not only focusing on the calculations, calculate the interest, calculate the percentage, but we bring also real life situation context. We contextualize everything. If you talk about the percentage that, so the workers of a certain company, they got an increment of 15%. What does it mean? It means that that is a context. And we bring it in a real life situation, we call it a context. But as we do calculation, it's content. In order to apply, it means that we are not just learning here in a classroom situation or you want to get a matric certificate, but at the end of the day, you must be able to apply what you have learned from the classroom to the outside world. Now, let's check. What must you know if you are doing mathematical literacy for grade 12? These are some of the things that we are dealing with. Numbers in operation in context, LO1. These are the things that you must prepare. As you prepare for a trial examination, you prepare also for the final examination. Know this concept. I have a colleague of mine, Dr. Gr.12 van der Merwe. She will be doing this with you. Basic operation, rounding, percentages, ratio, proportion, rates. And most of the time you'll find that in paper 1, you find this question in paper 1, question 1 and 2. And some of you, sometimes you are really not taking this seriously. You need to work on this basic operation, how to add, how to subtract, working with the brackets. Rounding off also is a problem. You are given a problem where you're supposed to round off and to two decimal digits after 2 decimal digits. But we find that people don't understand. They leave the answer as it is or they round incorrectly. How to work with percentages, ratios, proportions, rates. Basically, go and practice this. I can see that some of you are becoming worried now when you see proportion. Go and check them and practice them. The rates. Listen to Dr. Gr.12 van der Merwe as she'll be presenting about basic operations and all other topics. Finance also is part of LO1. Have you seen questions like this? This is all about inflation. You can see that the graph is going up and down. The price of the bread can change. This is also affected by the inflation. If you check here, we are talking about bonds repayment. You are staying in a house. Your parents are paying on a monthly basis. If you are mathematical literate, you'll be able to analyze and know that this house costs 385,000. How long will it take to repay the whole amount? And also, if I pay extra, what happens? These are the things that we learn under finances. You'll find them also in the question paper. We talk about hire purchase. This is a fridge. We are not interested about what is inside. But this is a fridge that you know, that you can get it from different stores. Hire purchase, what does it mean? People are buying, instead of saving, people are buying on hire purchase. You find that if this fridge costs 2,899, a person can pay double of this because of hire purchases, other costs that are involved. But if you can save money and buy it cash, it can be better. These are the things that you can learn under finances. Also insurances. What does it mean? What is the premium? How much cover will I get? These are some of the topics that you must be prepared for. Patterns and relations under LO2. Moving between tables, equations, and graph. You can see here, it's all about the cost of electricity to two different electricity systems. We know that at your home, most of you are using prepaid. But other people are using flat rate. What does it mean, a flat rate? The municipality is the one that tells you how much you're supposed to pay at the end of the month. But prepaid, you buy before. Pre means that before. But these are the things that you'll find under LO2, boys and girls. You must always be ready to analyze this and come up with graph and talk about break-even points. You'll get these topics. As we continue with these presentations, you must keep on watching these ICTIs. You'll find wonderful stuff about mathematical literacy. You can see that the tables also come from the, if before you can draw a graph, you must have a table. Just to give you an example. Also the patterns. Look at this. This is the pattern of a house or of a floor if you want to tile. You can see you've got 5 tiles here, the next one 10. It can repeat up to 15. It gives you a pattern and you can complete the table from these patterns. These are some of the questions that you can expect. You've been practicing. I can see. You know that this question comes from different question papers, but I'm just reminding you. The subject is very interesting and alive. Shape, space, and measurement. LO3. What is that? It's not just a bucket or a washing basin. No. It has something to do. In a real life situation, it's a washing basin, yes. But where do we use it in mathematical literacy? You can call it a rectangular prism. You can be asked to calculate the volume, the area, etc. This is a JoJo. Some of you call it JoJo. But we, in mathematical literacy terms, it's a cylinder. That's where we use the formula for a volume. Remember, of a cylinder. I can see that we are asking each other. What is the equation of this one? But we are given equation, we know that. Is that one that says V equals to pi r squared h. You remember? Yes. These are the things that we'll get in mathematical literacy. Look at this beautiful lawn and some roses there. Sometimes you can be asked, calculate the area of the lawn. You must exclude this one and this one. But because it's a rectangle, you use the formula for the rectangle. If you want to know what is the area, you know that. What is the formula for the rectangle? A equals to length times breadth. Cylinder also. Girls, sometimes you're using this. Others are fetching water. They are fetching water from outside. The girls will go and fetch water with this cylinder. But you must be able also to calculate how much, what is the capacity. How much can it hold or contain. You can use the same formula of volume. Quantity of bricks. Beautiful wall here. But in mathematical literacy, you can come across questions like this one. You can say, calculate the number of bricks that we'll be using to build a wall or to build a house. Now, as we continue, grade 12, maps and plans, still under LO3. A beautiful house. You can see it's a double-story house. You all like beautiful things. And I know that one day you'll be staying in this beautiful house. But it is important also to know what are the implications of building this, or painting, or whatever whole thing. These are the things that will come across. Will you be given a floor plan also? How many bedrooms can you get there? If you want to paint the walls, what will be the quality of the paint? And we call these 3D plans because you can see 3 views. You can see the front, the side. You can see even the top. The 2D plans, because it has just 2 dimensions, the length and the breadth, we call it a 2D. But these ones, do you know Metsidi Matludi? She's coming. She will be doing this in details. On Wednesday, tomorrow, you must watch ICTIs also in front of your screens. Matludi will be going into details, giving you questions that come from the previous question papers to prepare you for trial and the final paper. Maps also. We've seen so many people wasting their time, wasting their money. Why? Because they're getting lost to a certain destination. So it is important to understand what we talk about, what we mean by maps and directions. Understand them. This is what we get in mathematical literacy. Can you see the beauty of the subject? Because it really includes real life situation. Also the You can see this is the compass. It goes with the maps, because if you want the direction, you must know whether you are traveling north, west, east, south, etc. Lastly, also, one part that you must know, that you must be prepared for, is the data handling. That's where we have statistics and probability. You remember those questions where you have to calculate percentiles. Look, this is a growth chart, but we know that in a real life situation, this can be also used as the growth chart of a baby to check whether the baby is still growing, the height, the weight, what are the relationship between the two, even yourself. You can calculate BMI. What does BMI stand for? Body mass index. To check whether you are really, your height, does it correspond with your weight? These are some of the questions that you can get in both papers, paper 1 and paper 2. Look at this one. It's all about a pie chart also. Look at this one. It says percentage of fatal accidents per day of week. It gives you that what happens on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, up to Saturday. So you must be able to analyze this and answer the questions that are given below using this pie chart. Probability. Why are we having, sometimes the ladies are paying less on the insurance and gentlemen are paying more? Probability. The chances that ladies can make accidents are very, very, very slim. But gentlemen, sometimes you know that they will drive, very fast. So the chances are very high. That is probability. You can see that people who are selling policies, also insurances, they are using probability. So it means that mathematical literacy is alive again. It brings real life situation into a classroom. Now, as I'm going towards the end, I want to emphasize, grade 12, that you know that the papers of mathematical literacy are two, paper 1 and paper 2. We have seen that paper 1, you are not experiencing a lot of problems as compared to paper 2. But you are falling as we come to paper 2. Why? It's because you don't practice enough questions on reasoning and reflecting. Wherever you can calculate, after calculating, you must come up with a reason. Justify your answer. You remember those questions? Yes, I can see that some of you even left them out there in the test that you wrote. Next time you mustn't do that. Make sure that you answer all the questions, because they will give you questions. They will give you more marks. Types of questions that you can find are under level 4. Type 1 and type 2. Type 1, offering an opinion. Why am I supposed to take this phone as opposed to this one? You look based on your analysis or the solutions or the calculation. You can decide. And this question can cost 2 to 3 marks. The other type is this one. Decide on what approach, content, method is required to solve a problem using that method. Critically analyze, answer, make decision. You can see that this one sometimes it has about 8 to 12 marks. You cannot afford to lose 12 marks. It's a lot out of 150. So you need to attempt this question and get it right. So as I'm saying to you now, level 4 questions, as you are practicing for the exam, apply more time on them, because they count a lot of marks. And remember, paper 1 and paper 2 must complete each other so that you can get level 7. I know that you're going to get level 7 in mathematical literacy. These are some of the examples that I've just put it for you. Look at this comparison. The cereal chocolate is available in 2 possible box sizes. And the question can say, calculate the cost of 50 G or 50 grams. Calculate which box you will be better by. Look at this. Show all necessary calculations to justify your answer. It means that this one, you don't just calculate, you calculate further to convince the marker that you really understand what is the difference between the two questions. These are some of the questions that you can really refer to also. Why is the graph that represents the fees for this package drawn in the shape of a step function? You know, people now of late, you cannot just park without paying. You must pay, and it goes with time. The longer your car stays there, the more you're going to pay. So we can really represent this with this graph. We call it a step function graph. These are some of the questions that you can come across. Look, this is the squash balls. Do you know a squash? It's like a tennis. But these are the balls. And they come up with this, inside this. Look at the question. Why are spherical squash balls packaged in a rectangular box and not a cylindrical container? Because you can just say, no, this is round. Why this box is not round? So these are some of the things that you can really think about as you prepare yourself. Why is the cylindrical medicine bottle packaged in a rectangular box, not a cylindrical container? We know that also bottle of medicines, they come in boxes, but these boxes are rectangular. And as we continue, determine the volume of a rectangular box used to package squash balls. Determine the volume. These are some of the questions, I'm just showing you them. Determine the volume, surface area. Go and look at this formula. Most of you are falling here because you cannot substitute properly. As you continue, these are some of the questions that you can really check. And I want to say to you, wish you all the best for your coming examination. Work hard and aim for nothing but level 7. And I know that you can do it. Go for it. Know that mathematical literacy is very interesting. I thank you.
Good afternoon, grade 12. I hope you have enjoyed the motivational talk that you were given by Mr. Chabalala, and that you have learned that actually mathematical literacy is a very worthwhile subject that we can use in a lot of places. This afternoon, I'm going to do with you basic skills that we use when we do mathematical literacy. These basic skills may seem easy, and it may seem maybe a waste of time to do them. But believe me, if they are not in place, you are going to have a very difficult time to do the other topics in mathematical literacy. So let's start right away. I'm first of all going to talk to you about the various formats that we can get some numbers in. You will see I have written for you here already on the page a half, which is the fraction form, a decimal, which is 0.5, the percentage form, and then how we will say it in the English language. Let us just go back and see what is fractions about. Many learners are very afraid of fractions, while actually it's very easy to deal with them. These fractions, if we can visualize them or see them for what they are, you will see that it's so easy to work with them. Look at this circle I'm showing you. This circle is presenting a whole, like a whole cake or a whole pizza or something that you want to eat. Now say for instance you want to share this picture, this one pizza or this and another friend. In other words, you're going to chop it up into 2 pieces. Now when we chop it up into 2 pieces, we can do it in any way. It can be sliced in this way. It can be sliced like that. It doesn't matter. As long as at the end of the day, you end up with 2 pieces which are exactly equal to each other. Like that. Okay? Or like that. Now let us talk about this half. When we say we have a half of something, another way of saying it is to present it as a decimal number. The decimal number, it is easy to get it if you have your calculator with you. Let me show you. If you have the half, and you simply press in 1 divided by 2, you will see that it gives you the fraction on the screen. Now the vice versa is also true. If I have the 0.5, and I divide it by 10. No. Let's go to the calculator and see if we can change this from one form into another. If we have a half and you want to know what the decimal form is, what you can simply do is take your calculator and press 1 divide by 2 on the calculator. This ST button, let me show you there. If I press it, it will move between the formats of a fraction and a decimal number. So press it and 0.5 is your decimal number. If I want to present it now as a percentage, I want to express this half that I've showed you here. I want to express it as a percentage. Then I'm going to present it as a fraction of 100. So if I'm doing that, I'm going to say, if my whole is 100, half of that, if my whole is 100, half of that whole will be my 50%. Now, if we are going to do this mathematically, it's very easy. You have seen that we can press on the calculator 1, divide by 2 to get the decimal number. If I move from my decimal number to my percentage, what I do is I multiply by 100. And if you want to know how is it that we are going to call it, or how is it that you will find it in your word problems, they will refer to something as being a half. The picture I have shown you, it is a full one. There's one full one that I have taken and I have split it into 2 parts. Just again, I'm going to show you. A half is exactly the same as 0.5, as 50%, or if we draw the picture, it will look like this. Any one of these formats that you see in the examination, they all mean the same thing. It means that you have taken half of something. Let's look at the next one. The next one is a quarter. Now a quarter is just as easy. If we go back to our full one, there is our cake again, the whole cake, and we cut this cake into 4 equal pieces. You must remember, you cannot be stingy. You must give everybody an equal piece. If we cut the cake into 4 equal pieces, we take the one cake and we cut it into 4 equal pieces, we get what we call quarters. Okay. How am I going to present quarters then in the decimal and in the percentage format? Again, the quarter, you are going to press on your calculator 1 divided by 4. Toggle on the SD button and it will give you the 0.25. Okay, if I want to see it as a percentage, I'm going to multiply with 100. Okay, that is 25%. And in this case, we are talking about quarters. Let me just lay them out for you. We have a quarter. Instead of saying a quarter, we can say 0.25. Instead of saying 0.25, we can say 25%. And we can also represent it with a picture if we want to. Learners of grade 12, all of these things mean the same thing. In the examination, questions can be asked of you to work with certain things, but they can ask you to get a quarter, they can ask you to get 25%, they can even ask you to multiply it with 0.25. It all means the same thing. Okay. Let us just now think. Say for instance, if we have something like 75%. Is it possible to write this 75% back into a decimal? Yes. What we are going to do is we are going to divide with 100. If we do that on the calculator, we get 75 divided by 100. There you see the fraction already, 3/4. And if we toggle the button, you will see it's 0.75. All of these things meaning the same thing, meaning that we are taking 3/4 of something. Okay, now I have one for you to also try. Just try for a moment. You will see I have written for you 20. Can you write it for me as it's 20%? Can you write it for me as a decimal? Can you write it for me as a fraction? And ultimately, how are we going to call this? Think for a moment, try it, and let's see what you get. I'm going to say 23,000. I'm first just going to say what this number is. It is like, for example, just saying that. But this is not right because I still need 129 to make this thing now true. So I will say 23,129 in the case of that number. Are you with me? If I look at this number, I'm going to say 254,000. I'm separating my thousands and I'm working with this 3 first. But I don't forget about this because they are still there. When I'm saying 254,000. And now I look at my next 3 digits. And if you look at them, you will see they are 912. So how do I say that number? 254,912. Let's look at this one. I'm going to write it for you in here. If I start on that side. How am I going to say this number? Let's break it up. There are 3 digits, another 3 digits, and here we see only a 1. If we write it in here so that you can see the values, you will see that this one that I'm having here in front is in fact a million. Okay? So, that one I'm going to keep on calling it 1 million. Then I'm going to keep the next ones and I'm going to say this is now going to be a number of thousands. And how many thousands will this be? 179,000. Finally, I'm only left with 230. What is that if I say it? It is 230. So let's say the whole number. 1,179,230. Okay. The last one here I have for you. I'm quite sure you have seen this in the past examination papers. It's 5,34 million. I'm going to write the 5 and the 3 and the 4. That is now not a decimal number, grade 12. That is a way in which we express very big numbers. We bring in the comma to help us again to work with these numbers easily. If I write it in here in the blocks, you will see my 5 is underneath my million. I've got my 3 under my 100,000s, my 4 under my 10,000s. And now these other values, what must I write there? We fill them up with zeros. So if I must write 5.34 as a million, I can simply write 534 0, 1, 2, 3, another 1, 2, 3 zeros. If you want to do it in a fancy way, you leave a space open between the thousands. Just like when you were using the thousand second. Grade 12, that was all that we had time for when we were doing Mathlet this afternoon. But we will be back with some more lessons that you can watch so that you can become really good at this and that you are going to get good marks in the final examination. Goodbye for now.